And don't forget to order your copy of Football Game Plan's latest book, Stiff Arming Football Myths, an excellent book that you can find on our website at footballgameplan.com/books, available in both PDF as well as paperback form. Welcome to footballgameplan.com, where football makes sense. I'm Memory Hunt, the czar of the playbook. Bring you our 2014 NFL team preview for the Jacksonville Jaguars. We're going to take a look at their offense, their defense, as well as their special teams. So let's start off on the offensive side of the football with the quarterback position. I know Gus Bradley has stated that the plan is to sit rookie first-round pick Blake Bortles the entire season, but in my opinion, that would derail any chance of the Jaguars making any type of run for that last wild-card spot in the AFC. Quarterback Chad Henne is a veteran entering his 7th season, and at this point, we know what he's going to be. He is what he's going to be as a player. Plus, let's not forget, it's his play that led the Jags to picking a quarterback that early in the first place. So why delay the inevitable? Start the guy you know will get better with live game reps. If Bortles isn't the week 1 starter, which I think he will be, he'll be starting by week 4. Gone is longtime Jaguar Maurice Jones-Drew, and in comes a new influx of talent. In the offseason, the Jags signed Toby Gerhart from the Minnesota Vikings, who spent the last 4 seasons backing up Adrian Peterson. Gerhart is a dependable and steady runner that can handle starter-like carries just like he did at Stanford. The question remains, however, is he the best running back on the roster? I don't think so. In the 7th round, the Jags drafted Storm Johnson out of Central Florida, who reminds me a lot of former New York Giants running back Rodney Hampton, and because of what he does from an all-purpose perspective. In my opinion, Johnson gives you a little bit more than what Gerhart gives you physically, and also has the ability to take it the distance, as does undrafted rookie free agent Terrence Cobb out of the Cumberlands, whose vision, balance, and receiving skills are similar to the 49ers' Frank Gore. Jacksonville also has both Jordan Todman and Denard Robinson, but in my opinion, Todman is mainly a special teamer, and that could also be in jeopardy because of both Johnson and Cobb's ability to return kicks. And they have Robinson, who would be best utilized as a slot wingback type player. All in all, the Jags have a good problem on their hands in the backfield. Very solid group of guys here. I like what the Jags offer here at wide receiver, and I believe they got better in the offseason. Now they'll be without the services of former first-round pick Justin Blackmon for probably the entire season, and possibly Ace Sanders for at least 4 games. So that leaves them a little thin, but they still have enough talent to be successful. And the hope is that talented rookies in Marquise Lee out of USC and Allen Robinson out of Penn State will be able to hit the ground running from day one. I believe they can, as both guys are great run-after-the-catch guys that don't need much to create their own opportunities. They'll team up with Cecil Shorts, who led the team in receiving last year with 66 receptions for 777 yards. Free agent signee Tandon Doss from the Baltimore Ravens could also factor in the mix as the 4th wide receiver, and I would keep an eye on Nathan Slaughter out of West Texas A&M, whose style is similar to Ace Sanders and what he can do in the slot and as a returner. At tight end, the Jaguars have a very good 1-2 combo here in Mercedes Lewis, who does well on both ends of offense, and Clay Harbor, who's a good move tight end H-back type player with solid receiving skills. The Jags could be in the market for a 3rd and maybe even a 4th tight end, so that leaves the door open for 2 undrafted free agents to make an impact in Marcel Jensen out of Fresno State and Reggie Jordan out of Missouri Western. Jensen is more of your classic inline guy, while Jordan is an outstanding receiver. The Jags are going younger along the offensive line, which isn't necessarily a bad thing because there's enough talent to get the job done. Last year's first-round pick Luke Joeckel returns from injury and is a starter at left tackle. Austin Patzer, who stepped in last year as Joeckel moved to left tackle in the middle of the season, played well enough to earn the starting nod at right tackle going into this year, giving the Jacksonville Jaguars 2 solid bookends. Backup tackle Cameron Bradfield can play either tackle spot and played well after Joeckel went down with injury. I'm a big fan of Mike Brewster at center, taking over for longtime Jaguar Brad Meester. Brewster is entering his 3rd year and is finally getting his opportunity after being one of the best centers in the country at Ohio State. Zane Beadles comes over from the Denver Broncos to start at guard, and at the other guard spot, the Jaguars will go with rookie 3rd-round pick Brandon Linder out of Miami, who was an outstanding run blocker for the Canes last season. Jock McClendon, as well as Sam Young and even Matt Stankiewicz, provide depth on the inside, and I'd also look out for rookie free agent Tyler Shatley out of Clemson to also compete for time at backup guard. This is the unit that has to continue to raise its level of play just like they did last year over 2012. The Jags released Jason Babin, who led the team in sacks with 7. That move was less of a blow with the free agent acquisitions of both Red Bryant and Chris Clemens from the Seattle Seahawks. That helps the Jags on both ends of defense. Andre Branch, who is second on the team in sacks, made big strides last year, and the hope is that he continues to progress in the right direction. The interior defense was fine last year with Roy Miller and Derek Marks combining for 57 tackles. The Jags also signed former first-round pick Ziggy Hood from the Pittsburgh Steelers to provide depth on the inside, and maybe the light has finally come on for both he and also former first-round pick Tyson Alualu, who can switch between defensive end and defensive tackle. Undrafted rookie free agent Deandre Coleman out of Cal is very strong at the point of attack and plays with great length, and I would look for him to be in the rotation as well. Middle linebacker Paul Posluszny was excellent last year, leading the team in tackles with 161 while also excelling in the passing game. He and outside linebacker Geno Hayes played some good ball last season for the Jaguars, and they've added Dakota Watson via free agency from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who's going to start out on the PUP list but is slated to start at one of the outside linebacker spots. And right now that gives guys like John Latuile and rookies Chris Smith out of Arkansas and Telvin Smith out of Florida State the opportunity to impress with increased reps. Chris Smith will be utilized as a pseudo-Sam defensive end type player, as he was solid in getting to the quarterback while with the Razorbacks, and Telvin Smith has the skills and the athleticism to actually play all 3 linebacker spots. As the guys up front improve, so will the productivity from the second level. The hope here is that young guys take positive steps forward this season. Guys like cornerback Dwayne Gratz, free safety Josh Evans, and strong safety Jonathan Cyprian, all of whom were drafted last year and started games as rookies. They are expected to be even better in year 2. Veteran cornerback Alan Ball will start on the PUP list, but once he returns, he'll be starting opposite of Gratz. Ball played well last year after coming over via free agency from the Houston Texans, and last year's 7th-round picks Demetrius McCray and Jeremy Harris will battle Will Blackmon and Jamel Fleming for nickel and dime duties. In the 4th round this year, the Jaguars drafted Aaron Colvin out of Oklahoma, who has great ball skills but will more than likely use this year as a redshirt season as he recovers from an ACL injury that he suffered during the Senior Bowl week. 2 undrafted rookie free agents and free safety Craig Lawson out of LSU and cornerback Rashad Reynolds out of Oregon State could also be in the mix for spots on his roster. Both guys had draftable grades. Lawson could even be depth at safety alongside Winston Guy. The Jaguars are solid in the kicking game with kicker Josh Scobie, who connected on 92% of his field goal attempts last year, and punter Brian Anger, who averaged 45.7 yards a punt. And in my opinion, both the kickoff and punt coverage units are one of the best in the league. Now, as far as the return game is concerned, Jordan Todman averaged 27 yards a kickoff return, which is pretty darn good. But like I've said before, he could be pushed by Storm Johnson and Terrence Cobb. The punt return duties were handled by Ace Sanders, who did okay but wasn't a game breaker or wasn't game breaking. I would expect one of the rookie wide receivers, Marquise Lee or Allen Robinson, to take that job. Gus Bradley created a new culture down there in Jacksonville and is building on it this season, and the Jags weren't that bad last year. They finished 4-4 down the stretch after starting 0-8. With added talent to the momentum they built last year, you can see why there's optimism. I think the biggest cause for concern would be if Chad Henne starts the season instead of Blake Bortles. Not saying that Blake Bortles is your can't-miss franchise guy, but he's better than Chad Henne. And you also have to have some concern about the depth defensively. There are certain spots like defensive line and linebacker where you can see they can't afford any injuries. The road to the Super Bowl for the Jaguars goes as follows. Number 1, that running game has to come to life. They spent a lot of time in the offseason with that offensive line, that young and athletic offensive line, and also adding talent in the backfield with Toby Gerhart, drafting Storm Johnson and company. They have to be able to run the football in order to help out whomever's back there at quarterback. And that defense has to begin to create turnovers. That's something that they couldn't do last year, was generate turnovers, fumbles, interceptions. That has to happen this season, and the quarterback consistency, whomever it is, has to flatline. They can't be hot and cold up and down each and every game. They have to find that level of consistency, whether it's Blake Bortles or even Chad Henne. I have the Jaguars finishing second in the AFC South. I believe this is a much better football team than last year's record indicated, and I like the talent they've added in the offseason, and they are building it in the right direction. So look for the Jags to flirt with a 500 record this year. And I also want to give a huge shout out to Jaguar fan forums for always showing football game plan support.